Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly by the window, feeling like life is moving a little too fast, or perhaps that you're becoming invisible as the years go by? Maybe you've noticed small changes, forgetting a name, feeling a little less steady on your feet, or just missing the sound of laughter in a house that once felt full. Most people will tell you, that's just part of getting older. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's a hidden power in the years you've lived, and something simple, like a genuine compliment, could reignite connection, joy, and confidence, both for you and those around you? In today's video, we'll discover why the right words, spoken from the heart, matter so much more than you think. Stay with me, and by the end, you might just see yourself and your relationships in a whole new light. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Sometimes, in the quiet corners of a day, you might overhear the way people talk about getting older. There's a certain acceptance that comes with age, a sense that maybe you don't stand out as much as you once did, or that your words don't carry the same weight in a noisy world. Many older men, perhaps even you, have felt this slow drift into the background, watching as attention seems to shift toward youth and the rush of the new. You might think, well, that's just how it is. Maybe you've caught yourself believing that what you say doesn't matter as much, especially when it comes to giving compliments, especially to women. But let's pause there and ask something different. Is it possible that your words, spoken with all the experience and life you've lived, are more powerful than ever? Could it be that a compliment from an older man is not just appreciated, but treasured, maybe even remembered long after it's spoken? This might sound surprising, especially in a world that seems to prize youth and surface beauty above all. But research and countless stories show something quietly remarkable. American women, especially those who've lived through many of life's seasons, place a special value on sincerity, subtlety, and the kind of emotional depth that only comes with age. The compliments that linger in their hearts aren't the ones about how they look or what they're wearing, but the ones that see deeper, that recognize their wisdom, their courage, their spirit. When you think about the typical young compliment, it often feels hurried or shallow. Maybe a quick, "You look great," or "That dress is nice." These words might be pleasant, but they can float away just as quickly as they were said. Young people, with all their enthusiasm, sometimes speak without the patience or perspective to notice what truly matters. Their compliments often skim the surface, touching only on what's visible. Now think about a mature compliment, one that comes from a man who's lived, loved, lost, and learned. There's a gravity, a richness to it, because it comes from a place of knowing. Imagine telling someone, "I've always admired your kindness, even in tough times," or "Your determination reminds me that age is just a number." These words aren't just about appearance. They honor the journey, the character, the unique story that person carries with them. For many women, especially as they get older, this kind of recognition is a rare and beautiful gift. Take, for example, a woman named Carol. She spent most of her life taking care of her family, often putting her dreams on hold. Her hair has grayed, her hands have softened, but her spirit is as lively as ever. One day, at a neighborhood gathering, a friend's husband, John, who was well into his 70s, paused during a conversation to say, "Carol, I have to tell you, I've always admired your ability to bring people together. You have a way of making everyone feel at home." Carol was quiet for a moment. Then her eyes sparkled with gratitude. Later, she admitted that of all the things people had said to her in recent years, that simple compliment meant the most. It saw her for who she was, not just how she looked. The power of a mature compliment lies in this ability to see beneath the surface. Science backs this up. Studies in social psychology suggest that as people age, they value meaningful connections over small talk. Compliments that highlight a person's resilience, humor, or wisdom often create a sense of being truly seen and appreciated, something everyone longs for, but that becomes especially important with age. So, how can you, as an older man, harness this quiet superpower in daily life? The answer is both simple and deeply rewarding. The next time you want to give a compliment, pause for a moment and reflect on what you truly appreciate about the person, not just what meets the eye, but what touches your heart. Maybe you've noticed the way someone cares for their grandchildren with endless patience, or how a friend has never lost their curiosity for learning new things. Perhaps you see the courage it takes for someone to start over after loss, or the humor they use to brighten a dull day. Speak those truths out loud. You don't need fancy words or grand gestures. Sometimes, the most powerful compliment is quietly spoken, at just the right time. You might say, "Your advice always makes a difference in my life," or "I admire how you keep finding joy in every day, no matter what." These words don't just lift the other person. They also remind you of your capacity to notice, to care, to connect. Let's go back to Carol for a moment. After that compliment from John, something shifted in her. She began reaching out to neighbors more often, hosting book clubs and coffee mornings with new confidence. John, too, noticed he felt lighter, more valued for what he could offer, rather than what he'd lost to time. Their small exchange became a spark for deeper friendships in their community, proof that the right words, spoken sincerely, can ripple out in ways you may never expect. If you ever feel hesitant, remember this: a sincere compliment is never wasted. Giving a heartfelt compliment is as much a gift to yourself as it is to the person receiving it. It strengthens bonds, brings color back to daily routines, and keeps the door open to laughter, understanding, and love. And in a world that can sometimes feel lonely or hurried, that's more precious than ever. So the next time you see someone, an old friend, your partner, a neighbor, look for what shines in them beyond the surface. Tell them, in your own words, what you admire. You may be surprised at how their face lights up, how a small conversation deepens into something memorable. And as you do, you'll discover that the unique power of a mature compliment isn't just in what it gives, but in what it gives back to both your lives. You've earned the wisdom and warmth that comes with age. Let it show in the words you share, and never doubt how much your voice still matters. Your compliments hold a quiet strength, a legacy of connection that the world needs, now more than ever. If you've ever tried to brighten someone's day with a compliment, you know how much joy a kind word can bring, not just to them, but to yourself as well. But sometimes, even with the best intentions, our words don't land the way we hope. Especially as we get older and the world around us changes, the art of giving a meaningful compliment becomes more important, and sometimes more complicated than ever before. Let's start with a familiar scene. You're at a family gathering, or maybe chatting with neighbors after church, and the conversation turns friendly. You notice a friend or loved one looking especially nice today. You want to say something kind. But instead of seeing a smile light up their face, you sense a flicker of discomfort, or even sadness, in their eyes. Later, you wonder, did I say something wrong? You're not alone. Many older men find that giving compliments feels trickier than it used to. There's a fine line between saying something heartfelt and accidentally missing the mark. So, let's challenge a common assumption. Is every compliment a good compliment? Is it possible that certain words, though meant to encourage, might create distance or misunderstanding, especially for women as they age? The truth is, not all compliments are created equal. Some can even sting, despite your best intentions. One of the most common mistakes is overdoing compliments about appearance. You might think you're being thoughtful by saying, "You look wonderful today," or "That dress makes you look so young." But for many women, especially those who have lived through the ups and downs of aging, these words can sometimes sound hollow, or even uncomfortable. American culture, with its emphasis on youth and beauty, can make compliments about looks feel like a double-edged sword. Instead of feeling uplifted, some women might wonder if you're really seeing them, or just commenting on something that inevitably changes with time. Another pitfall is comparing someone to their younger self. Maybe you've heard, or even said, things like, "You must have been stunning when you were younger," or, "For your age, you look amazing." At first glance, these words seem like praise. But listen a little closer, and you'll realize they carry an unintended message, that beauty, vitality, or worth is somehow tied to the past, or to how someone measures up for their age. It's easy to forget that every wrinkle or gray hair is a sign of wisdom, experience, and a life well lived, not something to be measured against lost youth. A third mistake, and perhaps the most subtle, is the backhanded compliment. This can take many forms, often dressed up as admiration but tinged with surprise or disbelief. Comments like, "It's impressive you can still do that," or "Not many women your age would try something like that," can leave a sting, even if you meant to be supportive. For the person receiving it, the unspoken message might sound like, "I didn't expect much from you because you're older." No one likes to feel underestimated, least of all women who have fought hard for their independence, their passions, and their dignity. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Then there's the issue of sincerity. Compliments given simply to fill a silence, or to win favor, can fall flat. People can sense when your words aren't genuine, especially those who've seen a lot of life. It might be tempting in a moment of small talk to say, "You look great," or "You're so talented," without really thinking about what you mean. But when a compliment is empty, it leaves behind a sense of awkwardness, and sometimes even disappointment. Women, in particular, are experts at picking up on the difference between a compliment that comes from the heart and one that's just for show. Let's ground this with a real story. Picture Helen, who's 74 and has always loved dancing. She takes pride in attending weekly line dancing classes at the local community center. One afternoon, after class, a friend's son stops by to pick up his mother. Watching Helen laughing with her friends, he says, "Wow, it's amazing you can still keep up with everyone at your age." The group goes quiet. Helen forces a smile, but inside, she feels a little smaller. She thinks, "Why should it be so surprising that I still enjoy dancing? I'm still me, just with a few more birthdays behind me." Moments like these happen more often than you might realize. Words meant to uplift sometimes draw attention to age in a way that feels limiting, rather than empowering. It's a reminder that the best compliments are the ones that see the whole person, not just the number of candles on their last birthday cake. So, what can you do instead? The first step is awareness. Before you speak, consider how your words might be heard, not just by you, but by the person receiving them. If you find yourself about to comment on appearance, pause and ask, "Is there something deeper I truly admire?" Instead of, "You look so young," try, "Your energy brightens the room," or, "I always appreciate your warmth and humor." Swap out comparisons to youth for recognition of strength, wisdom, or resilience, qualities that don't fade with time, but deepen. Practice noticing the small, meaningful things. The way someone supports others, the stories they share, the determination with which they tackle challenges. Compliment these qualities, and you'll find your words reach much further. If you ever slip up, don't be too hard on yourself. Everyone makes mistakes, and what matters most is your willingness to learn and grow. Helen, after that awkward moment, spoke up the next week in class, gently saying, "You know, I dance because it makes me happy, OT because I want to prove anything about my age." Her friends nodded in agreement, and the conversation moved on, lighter and warmer than before. The art of complimenting isn't about finding the perfect phrase, but about truly seeing the person in front of you. With honesty, respect, and a bit of practice, you can turn a simple exchange into something that lingers long after the conversation ends. Remember, your words matter. Use them to lift, to celebrate, and above all, to connect, no matter how many birthdays you've had. There is a quiet, often overlooked magic in the way we speak to one another as we grow older. For older men, the ability to offer a heartfelt compliment is more than a social skill. It's a genuine gift, one that can foster connection, brighten someone's day, and even revive a sense of purpose for both the giver and the receiver. But what makes a compliment truly special, especially for women who have lived, loved, and learned through decades of change? It begins with sincerity and specificity. Think back to a time when someone truly saw you, not just as another face in the crowd, but as a unique individual, shaped by your experiences, strengths, and quirks. A sincere compliment springs from the heart, and it is always rooted in observation. Imagine telling a friend, "I truly admire your patience when you care for your garden. You've created a space that's not only beautiful, but full of life and peace." Suddenly, your words have weight. You're not just making conversation, you're acknowledging effort, artistry, and care. This is a far cry from generic flattery, like, "You look nice today," which can feel impersonal or fleeting. The most cherished compliments are those that shine a light on what makes a person truly special. Consider focusing on character, achievements, or resilience. Maybe you've noticed a neighbor's unfailing optimism even during hard times, or the gentle way a friend makes everyone at the book club feel welcome. Telling her, "Your sense of humor brightens everyone's day, no matter what's going on," doesn't just offer praise, it gives recognition, and recognition is a kind of love. But the art of complimenting older women is not just about what you say, it's also about how and when you say it. In American culture, personal space and boundaries are deeply valued, and a compliment, if given at the wrong moment or in the wrong way, can unintentionally feel intrusive. That's why subtlety matters. Wait for a moment when you can speak quietly, perhaps over coffee or during a gentle walk in the park. A sincere word at the right time is often more meaningful than a dozen grand gestures. There's wisdom in being polite, in understanding that a compliment is a gift, not a demand for attention. Subtlety also means knowing when to hold back. If you sense someone is uncomfortable with public praise, you might share your thoughts privately or write a small note. Avoid making comments that draw too much attention, especially to topics that might be sensitive, such as appearance or age. The goal is to lift someone, not to put them on the spot. This approach honors the dignity of the person receiving the compliment, and it reflects a deeper understanding of human nature, a respect that grows with age. Sharing your own emotions is another powerful way to make your words matter. Too often, we speak about others without letting them know how they affect us. But telling someone, "I always feel at ease and uplifted listening to your stories," opens a window into your own heart. You're not just pointing out her qualities, you're showing her the real impact she has on your life. This vulnerability creates closeness and builds trust. Older women, like anyone else, want to know that they still matter, that their presence has a positive effect on the people around them. Sometimes, the most profound compliments are indirect. Rather than stating your admiration outright, you might tell a story that shows it. For instance, you could say, "I told my granddaughter how you learned to use a smartphone to stay in touch with your family. She was so impressed by your determination." Or perhaps you reference someone else's appreciation. "My friends at church always mention how you make everyone feel welcome." These indirect compliments can feel more genuine because they come wrapped in context and connection. They show that her actions and character are noticed not only by you but by others as well. Consider the story of Alice and Henry. Henry, widowed and a bit reserved, found himself drawn to Alice's quiet strength at the local senior center. Instead of complimenting her on her appearance, Henry would mention how much he appreciated her thoughtfulness during group activities. One afternoon, after Alice organized a small fundraiser, Henry said, "You always manage to bring out the best in people. Your kindness encourages us all to pitch in and help." Alice smiled warmly, later telling her daughter that it was the first time in years she felt truly appreciated for who she was, not just what she looked like. These moments of sincere appreciation have ripple effects. Alice began to participate more, Henry grew in confidence, and their friendship blossomed into something that enriched both their lives. That's the real power of mature appreciation. A compliment that touches the soul doesn't just lift the receiver, it also transforms the giver. If you sometimes feel hesitant or unsure, remember, practice makes perfect. Start by observing the people around you, and look for qualities that inspire respect or admiration. Speak from the heart, even if it means being a little vulnerable. And don't be afraid to use stories or examples from your own life. The world may tell us that as we grow older, our influence fades. But the truth is, your words can carry more meaning than ever, especially when you use them to lift someone else. So, as you go about your day, take a moment to notice the quiet heroes around you. The friends, partners, and neighbors whose wisdom and warmth make life richer. A compliment, when given with sincerity and care, is never wasted. It's a legacy of kindness, a spark of connection, and sometimes the very thing that helps someone see their worth all over again. You have the power and the privilege to make a real difference with your words. Use that gift generously, and watch how much brighter the world, and your own life, can become. Sometimes the most powerful life lessons are taught quietly, not through grand events, but through simple, genuine connections. That was true for George, a 73-year-old widower living in a small town in the Midwest. For most of his life, George was a family man. He built a career, raised 2 kids, and spent nearly 5 decades with his beloved wife, Eleanor. When she passed away 3 years ago, the house that once echoed with laughter and conversation felt impossibly silent. Grief, as George discovered, is not just about missing someone. It's about missing the life you once knew, the routine of companionship, and the comfort of feeling truly seen. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Like many older men, George tried to fill his days with purpose. He volunteered at the local food pantry, took long walks in the park, and even attempted to learn how to bake. Still, something was missing, a sense of connection, of being part of the world. One autumn afternoon, after running errands, George passed the town's little library. On a whim, he walked inside, and his eye caught a flyer for the Tuesday book club. He hadn't been part of a group in years, but something nudged him to sign up. That first meeting was awkward. George hadn't read a novel in ages, and the other members, all women as it turned out, welcomed him kindly but kept to their conversations. He listened more than he spoke, occasionally laughing at a joke or two. Then, during a discussion about the book's main character, a resilient woman overcoming hardship, one voice stood out. Linda, with her bright blue eyes and easy smile, spoke passionately about the ways the community can shape a person's life. She referenced the town's history, talked about the importance of volunteering, and sprinkled her comments with quick wit and warmth. George found himself nodding along, unexpectedly drawn in. Over the following weeks, George made a point to sit near Linda. He noticed little things, how she always remembered everyone's name, how she was the first to make newcomers feel welcome, how her laughter had a way of filling the quiet spaces. One evening, after the group dispersed, George found the courage to speak to her as they walked to their cars. "You know, Linda," he said, a bit shyly, "I always look forward to hearing what you think about these books. You have a real gift for seeing the heart of a story, and for making everyone feel included." Linda paused, surprised. So often, compliments she received were about her appearance, her baking, or her smile. Rarely did someone notice her ideas or her kindness. "Thank you, George," she replied, her voice gentle. "That means more to me than you know." From that day on, their friendship blossomed. They would chat after meetings, sometimes sharing coffee at the diner down the street. George made a point to notice and appreciate things about Linda that others seemed to overlook. He admired her humor, how she could lighten even the most heated debate about a book's ending. He admired her commitment to the community, the countless hours she spent organizing charity drives and checking on elderly neighbors. Rather than commenting on her looks, he focused on her character, her intelligence, and her impact on those around her. For Linda, these compliments felt different. They weren't hollow flattery or casual remarks. George's words were sincere, thoughtful, and specific. She realized that being seen and appreciated for who she was, her ideas, her spirit, made her feel more alive than she had in years. It was as though a part of her that had been sleeping quietly woke up and stretched toward the sun. Slowly, the joy that George and Linda found in their friendship began to spill over into other parts of their lives. George felt more confident, more willing to try new things. He started writing little reviews for the library's newsletter, something he'd never have attempted before. Linda, encouraged by George's genuine appreciation, accepted a volunteer leadership role she'd previously turned down. They both realized that while loss and loneliness could not be erased, they could be softened, transformed, by the power of real, mature appreciation. One snowy December afternoon, the book club gathered for their annual holiday party. As everyone laughed and shared memories, George found himself reflecting on how far he'd come since his wife's passing. He looked at Linda, chatting animatedly with a new member, and felt a warmth he hadn't known in years. Later that evening, as they left the library, George turned to her and said, "You've brought a lot of joy back into my life, Linda. I'm grateful for your friendship, and for all the ways you inspire everyone around you." Linda smiled, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "George, I think we've both reminded each other how good it feels to be truly seen." And in that simple exchange, they both understood the quiet, secret power of mature appreciation. It wasn't about grand declarations or flashy compliments. It was about noticing the small things, valuing someone's heart and spirit, and letting them know, gently, honestly, and without expectation, that they matter. For George and Linda, the book club became more than a weekly meeting. It was a place where words could heal, friendship could bloom, and the quiet act of appreciating another person could change the course of a life. In a world that too often forgets to celebrate wisdom, resilience, and kindness, their story is a reminder. The right words, spoken with sincerity, can help us rediscover joy, connection, and hope, no matter how many years we have behind us. As we move through life, it's easy to believe that certain things, like the thrill of a compliment or the warmth of heartfelt appreciation, are meant only for the young, or for the excitement of new relationships. Yet, for those who have gathered decades of memories, thoughtful compliments can hold even more meaning. They become not just pleasant words, but a lifeline, a way to keep the spirit of love, friendship, and belonging alive well into our later years. Consider the quiet miracle that happens when an older couple, married for 40 years, sits together at the breakfast table. Perhaps there's a comfortable silence as the morning sun spills across the kitchen. They know each other's stories by heart. But then, one morning, the husband pauses, puts down his newspaper, and looks at his wife with gentle eyes. "You still make the best pancakes in town," he says, or maybe, "I love how you always find something to smile about, even on gray days." Such words might sound simple, even ordinary, but their impact is profound. Compliments, when spoken with intention and sincerity, don't just rekindle affection. They remind both people of the reasons they first fell in love. In marriages and long-term partnerships, it's easy for appreciation to fade into the background, replaced by routine or the unspoken assumption that she already knows how I feel. But as life changes, children grow up, friends come and go, and our bodies slow down, a genuine compliment can be like sunshine after rain. It brings warmth, healing, and a sense of being valued, even as the years roll by. The beauty of compliments is that they don't have an expiration date. They can light a spark in a new friendship, bring laughter to an old one, and yes, even breathe fresh life into a marriage that has weathered its share of storms. When you tell your spouse, "I admire your patience," or "You still surprise me with your kindness," you are offering a gift. You are saying, "I see you. You matter to me." And for many older adults, who sometimes feel invisible in a world obsessed with youth, that simple act of recognition can mean everything. It's not just romantic relationships that blossom with compliments. Friendships among seniors are also strengthened by thoughtful appreciation. Imagine a group of friends gathered at the community center for their weekly card game. Laughter fills the room as stories are shared and victories are celebrated. One woman, Mary, always seems to remember the details of everyone's life: birthdays, grandchildren's names, even the favorite desserts. One day, her friend Tom says, "Mary, you have a real gift for making everyone feel at home. We'd be lost without you." The words hang in the air for a moment, and Mary beams, touched by the simple acknowledgement. The mood in the room shifts. People feel closer, lighter, more willing to share. Compliments have a way of building bridges. They soften misunderstandings and help resolve old hurts. They can encourage a shy friend to speak up or comfort someone who is grieving. Within senior communities, these small acts of appreciation can turn neighbors into friends and friends into family. Compliments create a circle of support, a web of kindness that makes everyday life richer and more meaningful. But let's not forget the impact of giving compliments on the giver, especially for older men, who sometimes struggle to find their place in a world that changes quickly. Offering a genuine compliment allows you to feel attractive, valuable, and capable of bringing happiness to someone else's day. It is an act of generosity, but also one of courage and vulnerability. It takes a certain strength to speak up and express what is in your heart, especially if you're not used to doing so. Yet every time you offer sincere praise, you remind yourself that your words matter, that you are still a source of light and encouragement in the lives of others. Take Harold, for example. After retiring, he found himself missing the camaraderie of his old workplace. At first, he felt a little lost at the senior center, unsure of how to connect. But one afternoon, he complimented another man on his storytelling. "You make the past come alive," he said. The other man grinned, and before long, Harold was welcomed into a new circle of friends. His small compliment was a door that opened into a world of laughter, shared memories, and belonging. There is science behind this, too. Studies show that compliments stimulate areas of the brain associated with reward and social connection, for both the giver and the receiver. Giving and receiving praise releases positive chemicals like dopamine, boosting mood and even strengthening the immune system. In other words, a heartfelt compliment is good for your health as well as your heart. In a world where many seniors face isolation and loneliness, compliments are a way to reach out, to say, "I see you. You are not alone." They invite connection, encourage conversation, and remind us all that, no matter our age, we have the power to bring joy to others. So, whether you're sitting beside your partner of 50 years, chatting with a new friend at the senior center, or sharing a moment with your neighbor on the porch, don't underestimate the power of a thoughtful compliment. Look for the things that inspire you: patience, wisdom, resilience, humor, and speak them aloud. Watch how faces brighten, how conversations deepen, and how your sense of connection grows stronger. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. After all, a compliment is more than just a kind word. It's a thread that weaves us together, a gift that says, "You matter, right here and right now." In later life, those words can be the key to fulfilling relationships, helping us to feel alive, connected, and deeply valued every single day. It's easy to think that giving a good compliment is just a matter of saying something nice, but in truth, mature appreciation is an art, a quiet, thoughtful way of honoring the people around us. For older adults who have lived through decades of changing times and shifting relationships, practicing this art can bring deep joy, stronger connections, and a renewed sense of purpose. If you've ever wondered how to get started or how to move from casual flattery to genuine appreciation, it all begins with a few simple but meaningful steps. The first, and perhaps most important, step is to observe and truly listen. In our busy world, it's common to rush through conversations, waiting for our turn to speak. But real appreciation comes from noticing the details, those little things that often go unsaid. Next time you're with a friend, a partner, or a neighbor, pause for a moment and watch how they move through their day. Listen to the stories they tell, the way they laugh, the advice they offer, or the quiet strength they show when facing a challenge. True compliments are born from these moments. When you listen, you see the person as they are, not just as they appear. Take Edith, for example, who often hosts coffee mornings for her friends at the retirement community. Most people comment on her lovely home or her stylish clothes, but her friend Ruth decided to pay closer attention. She noticed how Edith always remembered everyone's favorite pastry, and how she made sure new members felt included. At their next gathering, Ruth leaned in and said, "Edith, you have an amazing gift for making people feel welcome and comfortable. It's something I truly admire." Edith's eyes lit up with gratitude. Someone had finally noticed the kindness behind the hospitality. The second step is to put your thoughts into words by writing down 5 compliments that aren't about appearance. This simple act helps you focus on what matters. Think about the people in your life. What strengths do they have? What values do they stand for? Perhaps your neighbor is always quick to help, or your friend volunteers at the animal shelter, rain or shine. Write down compliments like, "You always bring a positive spirit to our group. I appreciate how thoughtfully you listen to others. Your determination to keep learning inspires me. You have a wonderful way of making everyone feel included. Your stories from years past remind me how rich life can be." By focusing on qualities, character, and actions, you shift the spotlight from the fleeting to the lasting. Writing compliments also makes it easier to remember and share them when the moment feels right. The third step is to practice with friends, loved ones, or in community groups. Like any new habit, it can feel awkward at first, especially if you're not used to expressing appreciation openly. Start small, a kind word to a friend after a card game, a note tucked into your spouse's lunch, or a comment during your weekly coffee chat. Watch how people respond. Often, you'll see a mixture of surprise and joy. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and soon, you'll notice others picking up on your example and spreading kindness in their way. One of the most rewarding places to practice is within community groups. Maybe you volunteer at the library, participate in a gardening club, or attend church events. These settings are filled with people doing good, often quietly and without much recognition. Take a moment to thank the woman who organizes the bake sale every year, or the man who sets up chairs before every meeting. A simple, "I see how much effort you put in, it makes a difference," can be more meaningful than you realize. Finally, remember the golden rule of compliments. They are meant to honor, not to flatter. Flattery tries to win favor or impress. True appreciation comes from the heart, with no strings attached. When you offer a compliment, let it be a gift, a way of saying, "You matter. I notice what you do, and I value who you are." This kind of recognition can build bridges, heal old wounds, and help both the giver and the receiver feel a little more connected to the world. Think about Tom and his longtime friend, Charlie. They've known each other since grade school and have shared 1,000 memories. In recent years, their friendship had grown quiet. But one day, after a long walk, Tom turned to Charlie and said, "You've always been there when I needed a friend. I don't say it enough, but your loyalty means the world to me." Charlie, caught off guard, simply nodded, but his smile spoke volumes. That one honest compliment rekindled a closeness they both missed. You don't need fancy words or perfect timing. Just be real, be present, and speak from the heart. Look for the small acts of kindness, the moments of courage, or the gentle humor that makes life brighter. And when you see something worth celebrating, say it. As we age, it's easy to worry that our best days of making a difference are behind us. But the truth is, every one of us holds the power to uplift, encourage, and inspire, simply by appreciating the people around us. Practicing mature appreciation is not just about changing others. It's about changing ourselves, opening our eyes to the beauty in everyday life, and reminding each other that we all still matter. So today, try observing a little more deeply, writing a few compliments, practicing in small moments, and honoring those you care about. You may be surprised by how much happiness it brings to your world and your heart. As we reach the end of this conversation, I hope you've begun to see the quiet but remarkable power you still hold in your words. No matter your age, no matter your history. The art of giving a sincere, thoughtful compliment is far more than a social gesture. It's a way to honor the people around us, to spark joy, and to foster deeper connection, even as the years go by. Think about what we've shared today. Compliments are not just for strangers or new friends. They can breathe new life into old relationships, strengthen bonds in your community, and help you feel valued and seen, too. Whether you're complimenting a lifelong partner, a neighbor, or a friend from the senior center, your words can light up someone's day, and yours as well. You don't need eloquent speeches or poetic language. The simplest truths, spoken from the heart, are often the ones remembered forever. Notice what truly matters: kindness, resilience, humor, wisdom, or generosity. Honor these qualities in others, and don't be afraid to practice this mature appreciation every chance you get. Growing older doesn't mean fading into the background. On the contrary, it means you're in the perfect position to share encouragement, warmth, and gratitude that only a lifetime of experience can bring. The compliments you give now are a legacy, tiny seeds of happiness you plant in the lives of others. So, I invite you, what is one compliment you've received that meant the most to you? Or what's a compliment you'd like to give someone today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, because your voice and your appreciation still matter more than ever.